Right then, hello there, good evening, good morning, good afternoon, whatever it is, wherever you happen to be. My name is Paul, I'm also called Knick-Knack. I'm the brains behind Knick-Knack's Daily Teaser, which is a set of daily brain quizzes floating past on, obviously, a daily basis. I'll try and put a link into them up in the corner there. I'm also the uncle of a YouTube mad nephew called Jude. Float around, I'm sure you'll see the link to his channel. It's called JP December. I talk about movies I've seen, and I've seen a couple recently that you might want to look at if you go explore my content. And I also talk about TV shows I watch. Please, as a huge favour, hit the subscribe button and go exploring around my channel. It's called Mr. Cuddy 2977. You'll probably find something that's going to grab you somewhere. At any rate, I mentioned talking about TV shows, which I do when I watch ones I think are worth writing about on my blog, Knick-Knack's Old Peculiar, and talking to you about on YouTube. Then that is exactly what I do. Over the past few weeks, I've been watching Star Trek Discovery's first season, and I'll try and put that in the corner there if I think about it. And I've also been watching the recently reanimated and recently released Doctor Who classic series, The Abominable Snowmen. It's an animated version used with the original soundtracks that were recorded by fans, and it's animated because they've long since lost the video. I saw episode 4 last night on Monday the 28th of November. Today is the 29th of November, and I wanted to tell you about the episode. Episode 4 opens by showing us a rampaging Yeti pulling off its restraints whilst Victoria, Deborah Watling, screams for help. She's answered by Domney, David Spencer, who holds the creature off while she flees, just in time to join Saipan, Raymond Llewellyn, as he meets Croissant, the temple guard's head, played by Norman Jones, which gives the panicked pair a chance to tell someone there's a Yeti amok in the building. There's only one thing Croissant can do: order his warriors to drive the hideous, horrible thing out of Death's End Monastery. Meanwhile, the Doctor and Jamie, Patrick Troughton, Fraser Hines, are outside Death's End Monastery, heading back to the TARDIS, a TARDIS that the Doctor feels will have something that can be used to block Yeti control signals. However, he quietly admits to Jamie that he's nervous, as there seems to be a distinct lack of Yeti in their immediate area, something Jamie finds equally nerve-wracking. Their fears are confirmed when the pair find the TARDIS and realise it's being guarded by something very, very hairy. Meanwhile, Travers, Jack Watling, is chasing wild Yeti further up and down the mountain and found none. He has, however, spotted Abbot Songston and 5 robot Yeti. The Abbot seems to be keen to get into the cave Jamie and Victoria found in episode 1. The Abbot also has a job to do for Master Padmasambhava, putting a small glass pyramid into place on top of a stack of Yeti control units, of those very spherical control units. Something that Travers goes to have a look at after Songston has famously and safely gone. Travers has problems. That pile of balls has started frothing. Now, what did I make of this episode? Was it good, bad, or indifferent? Are there things I've noticed? What was the episode like? The episode itself is great. The animation, for example, is just plain gorgeous, as it has been for some time now. I've got to admit that it is, yes, slightly disappointing it's not a Dalek story, because both the power of the Daleks and evil of the Daleks were riveting, in part because they featured beautifully animated Daleks. Those things were gorgeous. Saying that, the overall look at the Abominable Snowmen is superb in episode 4, as it has been in the earlier episodes. And yes, the Abominable Snowman so far is an improvement on earlier reanimated episodes. or reanimated stories, I should say. It's beautifully done. And I'm assuming that beauty, that gorgeousness, is the animator's experience showing as much as any improvements in the animation software and the computers they're using to make and render the episodes. The story itself is going along at a cracking pace. Granted, this is the second episode of the series where Victoria walks right into a cliffhanger. In this case, it's Master Padmasam Bava's inner sanctum. But the episode also reminds us that Victoria wasn't just a screamer who walks into trouble, as earlier in the episode she manages to escape from the cell she's held in by pretending to have been poisoned. So, I think we can say Victoria has a little more to her than just basically screaming the place down. There's other elements in this as well. In seeing the Yeti being forced out of Death's End Monastery. Episode 4 shows us that Crisong acting as a leader of a squad of troopers, a leader of warriors, a leader of men. Even if towards the end of the episode he's overruled by the abbot, he is still showing sort of strength. He's not just a all mouth and trousers. He can get things actively done when needed. And the episode also tells us about the Great Intelligence. I think it's the first, or maybe the second specific mention of the villain. It mentions the Great Intelligence and that the intelligence is controlling Master Padmasam Bava. At any rate, it is giving the Master a hell of a lot of power. The fact he seems to be able to easily hypnotise Victoria is a sign of that. There are other things as well. My slightly irreverent side watched one part of the episode where Master Padmasam Bava is toying with the model Yetis, the one that control the control units in the full-size Yeti robots. You see him toying with one of these model Yetis whilst thinking aloud. And I immediately called it Yeti fondling. In all honesty, that's the first phrase that cropped into my head. Yeti fondling. It sounds odd until you actually see the scene in question. He's sort of... It's very, very strange. It really is. Talking of the Yeti control units, yes, they are round, spherical, made out of metal, and in the cave that gets featured a lot in this story, they are, let's be blunt, in a heap. I am trying to avoid calling it a great big pile of balls, but the phrase unfortunately has a habit of wandering through my mind. Hey. But while we're on the subject of control units, while we're on the subject of that, careful Paul, heap of balls, at one point in the episode, Abbot Songston goes into the cave with a glass pyramid, the type that we're familiar with if we've seen The Web of Fear, because there's a larger version of the same pyramid in that. Songston goes into the cave with this glass pyramid, mystically removes the top 3 layers of the pyramidal pile of control units to reveal that the last layer, the bottom layer, is 16 units arranged in a square. He then places the glass pyramid in the centre of the square, which is where it starts glowing and going all spooky and evil and nasty. I watched that and thoroughly enjoyed it and thoroughly was riveted, but made a special note of the shape, the square shape. That to me implied that pile of balls, there's that phrase again, pile of balls, was a pyramid shape. Kind of like this little thing a cousin gave me. It's modelled on a traditional Egyptian pyramid. It's got a square base, and the other 4 faces, it's got a total of 5, the other 4 faces are all triangular. That's a pyramid. Now, I had a look in the equivalent scene in the Telesnaps reconstruction of episode 4 to find that the equivalent scene, in that scene, the glass pyramid was in a triangular arrangement of balls. To me, that sounds like the crew that produced the original live-action version of the Abominable Snowman could only afford only so many props, could only afford, let's be blunt and avoid it, only afford so many balls, and they could only make a tetrahedral pile like this puzzle here. It's got 4 faces, all of which are triangles. And from what I've understood over the years, that's a pyramid, that's a tetrahedron, and if you make either with a bunch of round balls, you will need less balls in the tetrahedron than you will in the 5-faced pyramid. So to me, it sounds like the original live-action version, they were saving money by using a tetrahedron rather than a pyramid. They could do that more cheaply than a pyramid, and frankly, but when it comes to doing the reanimated version, the animators have chosen a pyramid shape rather than a tetrahedron, because basically they didn't have to worry about spending the money. They could make whatever shape pyramid they wanted to make. They could do that 5-faced solid with a square base. They could do that 5-faced solid with a square base far more cheaply than the BBC could. Why it was done and how it was done, like I say, I don't know why or how it was done, but I'm guessing that the main influencing factor was quite simply the price. The BBC was spending money, so did a tetrahedron. But it's possibly the side of me there, the picky side of me there, is picking up on that, because of course the picky side of me that used to play role-playing games, things like Dungeons and Dragons, is very aware that that is not a pyramid, that's a tetrahedron. It's a 4-sided dice, in other words. But whatever, that's something that cropped up and I noticed. If you're a mathematician who knows anything about the things, though, I think I'd appreciate a brief comment, if that's possible, either on the blog version of this post or here on the video on YouTube. Preferably, though, if you do want to comment and have anything helpful to say, layman's terms, please. At any rate, about the only other thing that I did notice was, and it's got to be said again, and it's something I do notice with these animations, is the sound quality. Now, most of the time, the reanimated versions have sound quality. Just in case you didn't know how these things work, the BBC wiped a lot of the video of Doctor Who back in the 60s and 70s. They didn't value it, and there wasn't much of an after sales department. There wasn't many sales after the episodes had broadcast, so they wiped the video. The videotape was more use to them. But what many fans did was they'd record the episodes to audio tape. So audio has survived, but not necessarily video. And that video, that fan-recorded audio, is what's used for the audio of these Blu-ray and DVD releases. And most of the time, that audio can be varied. Mark Ayres and his audio restoration team do a fantastic job with the source material that they get. But sometimes, and in some episodes, that quality, that variability can show. They do a fantastic job, but they're only as good as the audio they get. This particular episode had very good audio. There's no mumbling, there's no fluffing, there's no something like that over there. It's beautifully done, and it's very, very good quality. There's a set of scenes up in the mountains between the Doctor and Jamie, around 2 or 3 minutes into the episode, that are just gobsmackingly beautiful quality. There's a depth and a richness to them that I found wonderful to listen to. It really is quite something. I can only hope that quality, is maintained in the rest of the episodes. Because because to be quite frankly frank with you, I am going to be watching the next episode, episode 5, appropriately enough next Monday, the 5th of December 2022. I am looking forward to seeing both the animation and hearing the sound quality, and I will have my review up and tell you about them on the 6th of November. I will see you then. Take care, have fun, be seeing you.